She posted on social media, "Some men think they're irreplaceable." While I was at work, I thought, you're right. So I canceled the surprise proposal and used the ring money for a solo trip to Japan. Her friends were asking why she was crying in my airport check-in photo. I stared at my phone during lunch break, the words burning into my retinas. The post had 17 hearts already, mostly from her college friends who never liked me anyway. But what made my hands shake wasn't the casual cruelty of the statement itself. It was the photo attached. Her leaning against my car, the one I'd been making payments on for 3 years, wearing the designer jacket I'd saved 2 months to buy her for Christmas. The caption underneath read, "Living my best life. Some people are just placeholders until the real thing comes along." My coworker Marcus noticed me frozen at my desk. "You good, man?" I couldn't answer. 20 minutes ago, I'd been on the phone with the jeweler confirming the custom engraving on the platinum band I'd been paying off in secret installments for 8 months. The proposal was planned for Saturday at the Botanical Gardens where we'd had our first date. Her parents were flying in. I'd arranged for a photographer. The reservation at her favorite restaurant was confirmed. Then I saw the comments. Her best friend Tiffany, "Finally, you deserve someone who treats you like the queen you are." Another friend, "About time you realized it, girl." And there, buried in the thread, a response from Emma herself. "Thanks, babe. Just waiting for the right moment to cut loose the dead weight. Life's too short to settle." The ring was supposed to be picked up Thursday. The deposit was non-refundable, but the jeweler had been clear, cancel before final pickup, and I'd get 65% back. I closed the browser tab with her social media, opened a new one, and searched flights to Tokyo. The cheapest option leaving Friday night was $2,300. The ring refund would cover it with money left over. My cursor hovered over the Book Now button. "Emma just texted you," Marcus said, glancing at my phone screen lighting up on the desk. I turned it face down without looking. She was probably checking if I'd seen her post yet, preparing her excuses about how it was just venting or "you're too sensitive." 3 years of my life reduced to a social media flex for her friends who'd been telling her to leave me since we moved in together. I clicked Book Now. Then I called the jeweler and told them to process the refund. The woman on the phone started to ask if everything was all right, but I hung up before she could finish. My next call was to my landlord, giving notice that I'd be moving out at the end of the month. Emma's name wasn't on the lease. She'd insisted on keeping things flexible in case her career opportunities required her to relocate. Those career opportunities apparently included evaluating her relationship options on Instagram. When I got home that evening, Emma was on the couch in yoga pants watching reality TV with a glass of wine. She barely looked up. "Hey babe, rough day?" Her voice was honey sweet, the same tone she used when she wanted something. Last week it had been concert tickets. The week before, a loan to cover her half of utilities because her freelance check was delayed again. "Actually, pretty good day," I said, heading straight to the bedroom. I pulled my old backpack from the closet and started filling it with essentials. Passport, laptop, the nice camera I'd bought before we met and barely used since. Emma appeared in the doorway, wine glass in hand, frowning at my efficiency. "Going somewhere?" The question came with an edge of suspicion. "Japan, leaving Friday night." Her laugh was sharp and dismissive. "Very funny, Tyler. You can't just randomly go to Japan. You have work." "Took my vacation days. 2 weeks approved." The wine glass lowered slightly. "Wait, you're serious? We have plans this weekend. Remember? My parents are visiting." Her voice climbed an octave, the sweetness evaporating into accusation. I zipped the backpack and met her eyes for the first time since walking in. "I saw your post today, the one about irreplaceable men and deadweight and placeholders. Figured you'd want some time to find that real thing you mentioned without me in the way." Her face went through a fascinating transformation. Confusion, recognition, panic, then calculated innocence. "Tyler, that wasn't about you. You're being ridiculous. It was just a stupid post. My friends were having relationship drama and I was supporting them. With a photo of you leaning on my car in the jacket I bought you, that's just a picture. You're reading way too much into social media. God, when did you become so insecure?" She set down the wine glass with enough force that the stem nearly cracked. "This is exactly what I'm talking about. You're so sensitive about everything. It's exhausting." I walked past her to the bathroom and started packing my toiletries. Emma followed, her voice rising with each word. "You can't just leave right before my parents visit. Do you have any idea how that's going to look? What am I supposed to tell them?" "Tell them I'm irreplaceable, but you're going to try replacing me anyway." I shouldered the backpack and grabbed my keys from the hook by the door. "I'll be back in 2 weeks to move my stuff out. The landlord knows I'm leaving end of month." "You're breaking up with me?" Her voice cracked with genuine surprise, as if the possibility had never occurred to her. Over a social media post? Are you insane? No, you broke up with me. I'm just making it official. I opened the door. Enjoy explaining to your friends why you're crying in my airport check-in photo. What photo? Tyler, wait! But I was already in the stairwell, her voice echoing behind me as I descended. I spent Thursday night at Marcus's apartment, sleeping on his couch while he peppered me with questions about what had happened. Man, I always knew she was high maintenance, but posting that publicly? That's cold. He handed me a beer and settled into his recliner. You're really going through with Japan? Flight leaves tomorrow at 9 p.m. I showed him my phone with a confirmation email. 2 weeks in Tokyo, then probably Kyoto and Osaka. I've always wanted to go, just never had the money or the time. Or the girlfriend who wouldn't guilt trip you about spending money on yourself instead of her, Marcus added. His own relationship had ended 6 months ago, under similar circumstances. What about the ring? I took a long drink before answering. Cancelled it. Got most of the deposit back. That's what paid for the flight. Marcus whistled low. How much was that ring? $3,500. Been paying it off since March. The number felt both enormous and meaningless now. 8 months of extra shifts and skipped lunches, all for a moment that would never happen. My phone had been buzzing constantly since I left the apartment. Emma had called 14 times, left 9 voicemails, and sent a stream of text messages that evolved from angry to pleading to angry again. I'd read the first few out of morbid curiosity. You're being completely irrational. Fine. If you want to waste money on a tantrum, go ahead. My parents are asking what's wrong. What am I supposed to say? Tyler, please call me back. We need to talk about this like adults. The last one had come in an hour ago. I took down the post. Happy now? Can we please just talk? Marcus glanced at my screen when it lit up again. She's persistent. I'll give her that. She's panicking because her parents are coming and I won't be there to play the devoted boyfriend. I silenced the phone completely. 3 years, Marcus. 3 years of me being the reliable one, the stable one, the one who paid the bills on time and made sure there was food in the fridge, and I'm dead weight. You know what the worst part is? Marcus leaned forward. She probably didn't even think you'd see that post. She was showing off for her friends, and you were just collateral damage. He was right. Emma had always maintained separate social circles, keeping me at arm's length from her college friends who'd made it clear they thought she could do better. I'd met them maybe 3 times in 3 years. Always at events where she needed a date but made sure everyone knew I was temporary. The Instagram post wasn't a declaration meant for me. It was her showing her friends she was ready to upgrade. Friday morning, I called my boss and confirmed my vacation time. Sarah, my manager, sounded confused but supportive. Everything okay, Tyler? This is pretty sudden. Just need a break. Personal stuff. Well, you haven't taken a vacation in 2 years, so you've definitely earned it. Have a great trip. She paused. And Tyler? Whatever's going on, don't let it mess with your head too much. You're one of our best people. I spent the day making final preparations, downloaded offline maps of Tokyo, packed the backpack more carefully, printed out the hostel reservation in Shibuya. Emma had tried calling from her mother's number, which I only realized after I'd answered and heard her voice. Tyler, please, can we just meet for coffee? 5 minutes, that's all I'm asking. I'm busy. Doing what? Packing for your ridiculous revenge trip? Her voice dripped with disdain. This is so childish. You know that, right? Running away to Japan because your feelings got hurt. I'm not running away. I'm running towards something better. I ended the call and blocked her mother's number too. At 6 p.m., I took an Uber to the airport, checking in 3 hours early just to be away from any possibility of Emma showing up at Marcus's place. The driver tried to make conversation about my trip, but I was too focused on the weight lifting from my shoulders with each mile from the city. This was really happening. I was really doing this. Security line was short. I grabbed dinner at a terminal restaurant, splurging on the good sushi because what did it matter now? The money I'd been hoarding for our theoretical future was mine again. No more calculating whether I could afford new work shoes or if Emma needed money for her yoga classes. No more splitting checks and somehow always paying 60%. No more being called selfish for wanting to save instead of spending. I was settling into my gate area when I decided to post my own photo. Me at the departure gate, backpack at my feet, boarding pass in hand, with a simple caption. Some men realize they're irreplaceable and act accordingly. I tagged the location as Tokyo Narita International Airport and turned off my phone before the reactions could load. The flight would take 13 hours. 13 hours offline, unreachable. committed to a decision that had felt impulsive yesterday, but felt more right with every passing minute. When I boarded and found my window seat, a middle-aged Japanese woman was in the middle seat. She smiled politely and returned to her book without attempting conversation. Perfect. As the plane lifted off and the city lights disappeared below, I finally let myself think about what I'd actually done. Canceled a proposal, ended a 3-year relationship, bought a ticket to another country, all in less than 48 hours. Part of me wondered if Emma was right, if this was childish and impulsive and something I'd regret. Then I remembered her face in that Instagram photo, leaning against my car, calling me dead weight while her friends cheered her on. No, this wasn't impulsive. This was overdue. Tokyo hit different than I expected. I'd imagined neon lights and bullet trains, which were there, but what I hadn't prepared for was the overwhelming sense of invisibility. Nobody knew me here. Nobody had expectations. Nobody was tracking my location or asking where I was spending money. For the first time in 3 years, I could just exist without justification. The hostel in Shibuya was basic but clean. A capsule bed in a room with 11 other travelers, a communal bathroom, and a common area where people swapped stories in broken English and enthusiastic hand gestures. My neighbors were a German couple hiking through Asia, an Australian girl teaching English in Seoul, and a Brazilian guy traveling solo like me. Nobody asked why I was there. Nobody cared that I'd upended my life 72 hours ago. I kept my phone off except for quick check-ins with Marcus. "Bro, Emma's losing it," he texted on day 2. "She showed up at my place crying, asking if I knew where you were staying in Tokyo. I played dumb." What did she want? Same thing. Wants to talk things through and fix this misunderstanding. Also, her parents left early because she couldn't stop crying through dinner. She's blaming you for ruining their visit. I turned the phone off again and went to explore Harajuku. The streets were packed with people wearing styles that would get you stared at back home, but here were just Tuesday. I bought a vintage bomber jacket from a tiny shop run by an elderly woman who spoke no English, but somehow communicated that it looked good on me. It cost about what I usually spent on Emma's Friday night bar tabs. Days blurred together in the best way. I ate ramen at counter-seat restaurants where the only interaction was pointing at menu pictures. I visited temples where the silence felt purposeful instead of awkward. I rode trains to random stops just to see where I'd end up. In Akihabara, I spent an entire afternoon in an arcade, dropping coins into rhythm games I was terrible at but didn't care because nobody was watching. A week in, I finally scrolled through my blocked messages during a moment of weakness. Emma had sent 43 texts. The evolution was textbook. Days 1-2. Anger. You're being immature. This is insane overreaction. My parents think you're mentally unstable. Days 3-4. Bargaining. Please, let's just talk. I'm sorry about the post. I miss you. Days 5-6. Reality setting in. Did you really end our relationship over one post? My friends are asking questions I can't answer. The landlord said you're moving out for real? Day 7. Panic. Tyler, I need to know if we're actually done because I need to figure out my living situation. Can you at least tell me when you're coming back? This is really unfair. You just disappeared. I didn't respond to any of them. Instead, I posted a photo from the top of the Tokyo Skytree, the city sprawling endlessly below. Day 7. Still irreplaceable. Comments flooded in, mostly from coworkers and old friends I'd lost touch with during the Emma years. Good for you, man. Living your best life. Marcus commented. That's my boy. Emma tried commenting too, but I'd restricted her account. The power in that small digital boundary felt disproportionately good. In Kyoto, I met Sarah and Tom, an English couple in their 60s who'd sold their house to travel for 2 years. We shared a table at a vegetarian restaurant near Kiyomizu-dera, and somehow I ended up telling them the whole story. Sarah listened with the patience of someone who'd heard similar tales before. 3 years is a long time to invest, she said gently. But 30 years is longer. You're 28? You just saved yourself from 30 years of being someone's backup plan. Tom nodded. The hard part isn't leaving. It's staying gone when they start hoovering. Hoovering? Sucking you back in, Sarah explained. The apologies, the promises to change, it was just one mistake speeches. They'll say whatever works to restore the status quo, because the status quo worked perfectly for them. She was describing Emma's message evolution perfectly. I thought about the ring I'd almost put on her finger, the life I'd almost locked myself into. The thought made my stomach turn. How do you stay gone? I asked. Tom smiled. You remember why you left in the first place, and you build something better. That night, I journaled for the first time since high school. I wrote down every time Emma had made me feel small. The birthday where she invited her friends but forgot to mention it was primarily my celebration. The promotion I got that she responded to with, "That's nice," before talking about her freelance project for 40 minutes. The Christmas, where I'd saved for 2 months to buy her that jacket, and she'd gotten me a drugstore candle. 3 years of small cuts that I'd told myself were normal relationship compromises. They weren't compromises. They were concessions. And I'd been the only one making them. My phone buzzed with a new message from an unknown number. "Tyler, it's Tiffany, Emma's friend. She's really struggling. I know you're mad, but can you at least let her know you're okay? She thinks you might hurt yourself." The manipulation was almost beautiful in its transparency. Emma had sent her friend to play the mental health card, knowing I'd been in therapy 2 years ago for anxiety. I blocked the number without responding. I spent 2 weeks in Japan, eventually making my way to Osaka, where I ate the best okonomiyaki of my life, and stayed up until 4 a.m. in a karaoke bar with a group of Australian teachers who didn't know anything about me except that I could murder "Don't Stop Believin'" after 3 beers. They invited me to visit Brisbane. I said maybe. It felt good to have options. The night before my flight home, I posted one final photo. Me at Osaka Castle at sunset, backpack worn and covered in pins I'd collected from each city. Caption: 2 weeks of being irreplaceable, heading home to start the next chapter. I didn't tag Emma. I didn't need to. Marcus picked me up from the airport with a six-pack and a knowing grin. Dude, you have to see Emma's latest post." "I don't want to." "No, trust me. You need to see this." He showed me his phone. Emma had posted a long, carefully crafted paragraph about growth and learning to value the people who matter, and sometimes you don't know what you have until it's gone. The comments were split between friends offering support and a few people pointing out that she'd literally called her boyfriend deadweight 2 weeks ago. But that wasn't the interesting part. The interesting part was the comment from someone named Derek. "You'll find someone who deserves you, babe," with a heart emoji, posted 6 hours ago. Emma had liked it. "Who's Derek?" I asked. Marcus's grin widened. According to Instagram, he's one of those gym bros she said was just a friend from her yoga studio. 3 gym selfies, 2 photos with Emma in the background, both from before you left. The timeline snapped into focus. The post wasn't random venting. It was preparation. She'd been building an exit strategy while I was planning a proposal. And now that I'd actually left, she was pivoting to the backup plan while simultaneously trying to hoover me back as a backup to the backup. "You dodged a bullet," Marcus said, more like a whole firing squad. The apartment looked exactly the same, but felt foreign, like walking onto a stage set of my old life. Emma wasn't there when I arrived with Marcus and his truck to collect my things. She'd texted that morning, "I'll be out. I don't think I can watch this." The message came with a sad face emoji, as if her feelings about my departure were more important than the fact that I was the one leaving. Most of my stuff fit in 15 boxes. Clothes, books, my desktop computer, the camping gear I'd bought years ago and never used because Emma didn't like bugs. The furniture was hers except for the TV I'd bought, which I left because arguing over a television felt beneath the magnitude of what had happened. In the bedroom closet, shoved behind her winter coats, I found the box with her copies of our photos. Not displayed anymore, I noted. Just stored away, probably around the same time she'd started commenting heart emojis on Derek's gym posts. I left the photos there. Let her decide what to do with the evidence of 3 years she'd already mentally archived. Marcus helped me load the truck, making running commentary the whole time. "Bro, half this apartment was your stuff. How did you not notice you were basically funding her lifestyle?" "I noticed. I just thought that's what you did for someone you loved." "Nah, man. That's what you do for someone who's using you." We drove to my new place, a 1-bedroom apartment in a cheaper part of town. It was half the size of the place I'd shared with Emma, but cost 2/3 as much because I wasn't subsidizing someone else's rent. The landlord, an older Vietnamese woman named Mrs. Nguyen, had accepted my application within 24 hours. "You seem responsible," she'd said simply. "Contract is 1 year, but good tenants can stay longer." Unpacking took 3 hours. When we finished, the apartment looked sparse, but honest. My books on shelves I'd built myself, my clothes in a closet where I could see everything, my dishes in cabinets where I knew exactly what was there. No yoga mats I'd trip over, no makeup scattered across the bathroom counter, no carefully curated aesthetic that I'd bankrolled but never chosen. "This is good," Marcus said, cracking open a beer from the six-pack he'd brought. "This is really good, man." My phone buzzed. Emma, somehow sensing through cosmic manipulation that I'd moved out. "Can we please talk now? I think we both said things we didn't mean." I didn't respond. Instead, I updated my social media relationship status to single. It felt petty and necessary in equal measure. Within 20 minutes, the post had 30 likes, including from Emma's friend Tiffany, which was its own fascinating development. Work on Monday was surprisingly normal. Sarah welcomed me back with genuine warmth, asking about Japan but not prying into why I'd needed to leave so suddenly. My cubicle looked exactly as I'd left it, except someone had watered the succulent plant on my desk. A post-it note from Jenny in accounting. Seemed like it needed care. Welcome back. I threw myself into projects with an energy I hadn't felt in months. Without Emma's evening demands for attention and weekend plans that revolved around her friends, I suddenly had time. I stayed late Tuesday to finish a presentation. Wednesday, I joined the office running group I'd always been too busy for. Thursday, I went to the climbing gym I'd had a membership at for 2 years, but visited maybe 10 times because Emma thought it was too dangerous. Everything felt lighter. My paycheck went further because I wasn't covering someone else's expenses. My evenings were mine because I wasn't waiting for someone to decide whether they wanted to go out or stay in or change their mind 3 times. My weekend came without obligation to attend brunches with her friends who barely acknowledged my presence. Friday night, 2 weeks after returning from Japan, Marcus convinced me to go out. Time to remember what being single is like, my man. We hit a bar downtown. Nothing fancy, just good beer and better music. I wasn't looking for anyone, wasn't interested in rebounding, but it felt good to be out without checking my phone every 15 minutes to see if Emma needed something. Around 10, a woman at the bar asked if the stool next to me was taken. She had short red hair and a NASA t-shirt. "I'm Claire," she said, extending a hand. "And before you ask, yes, I work at the Space Center, and yes, it's as cool as it sounds." We talked for 2 hours about rockets and travel and the best ramen shops in Tokyo because she'd spent 6 months there on an exchange program. She didn't ask if I was single. She didn't play games. She just talked like someone who enjoyed conversation for its own sake. When she left to meet friends at another bar, she handed me a business card. "If you want to continue this conversation sometime, email me, no pressure." I still had the card in my pocket when I got home to find Emma sitting on the stairs outside my building. She looked smaller than I remembered, wearing sweatpants and an oversized hoodie that might have been mine once. Her hair was pulled back messily, no makeup, eyes red from crying. When she saw me, she stood up quickly, almost stumbling. "Tyler, please, 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking." "It's midnight, Emma. How long have you been here?" "Since 6. I didn't know when you'd be home." She hugged herself against the October cold. "Can we go inside? Please?" Every instinct screamed to say no, but she looked genuinely miserable in a way that triggered 3 years of conditioning to care about her feelings. 5 minutes, I said, unlocking the door. My apartment was still basically empty, furniture limited to a couch Marcus had given me and a kitchen table from IKEA. Emma looked around with visible surprise. "This is where you're living now?" "It's home." She sat on the couch, and I remained standing, maintaining physical distance. "So what do you need, Emma?" "I need to understand why you threw away 3 years over one Instagram post." Her voice cracked. "I know I hurt you, but was it really worth destroying everything we built?" "You didn't post that by accident. You posted it because that's how you actually felt." I was venting. I was having a bad day and I said something stupid to my friends. "You've never said anything stupid when you were upset?" "I've never called you deadweight on social media while wearing clothes you bought me and leaning on property you paid for." She flinched. "Okay, that was bad. I get it. But Tyler, relationships have rough patches. You're supposed to work through them, not run away to Japan." "I didn't run away. I made a choice. A choice to throw away 3 years. You threw them away first." I pulled out my phone and opened the screenshots I'd taken before blocking her. "I saw the comments, Emma. Your friends congratulating you for finally dumping the deadweight. You responding that you were just waiting for the right moment. Was the right moment before or after I proposed on Saturday?" Her face went white. "What?" "Saturday. Botanical Gardens. Your parents were flying in. I had a ring." Past tense landed heavy in the quiet apartment. Had. Past tense. "Because I saw your post Thursday and canceled everything." She stared at me like I'd told her the sky was green. "You were going to propose?" "I'd been saving for 8 months. Custom platinum band, Sapphires because you hate diamonds, engraved with the coordinates of where we met. The details came easily because I'd rehearsed them 100 times in my head. Photographer hired, restaurant booked, your parents' flights confirmed. The whole thing planned down to the minute. Emma covered her mouth with both hands, tears spilling freely now. Tyler, I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. Would it have changed anything? Would you have not posted that if you'd known? Of course it would have changed everything. Oh my God, Tyler, I would have said yes. You would have said yes to a guy you called deadweight? To someone you were planning to dump as soon as you found something better? I kept my voice level. Emma, you didn't want to marry me. You wanted to marry the stability I represented while keeping your options open for someone more exciting. That's not true, I love you. You love what I did for you. Big difference. She stood up, approaching me with outstretched hands. Please, Tyler, I made a mistake. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Can't we just try again? Start fresh? I'll delete all my social media if that helps. I'll prove to you that. What about Derek? She froze mid-reach. What? Derek, from the yoga studio. The guy commenting on your posts with heart emojis. How's that going? Her hands dropped. We're just friends. Is that why you've been just friends in 3 of his Instagram photos from before I left? Or why he's suddenly commenting about how you deserve better the same week we broke up? It's not like that. Tyler, please, you're making connections that aren't there. I'm making connections that are obvious. I stepped back, creating more distance. Emma, you wanted the proposal. You wanted the wedding. You wanted the stability of being married to someone reliable while keeping the excitement of attention from guys like Derek. And I was dumb enough to almost give you exactly that. I wasn't cheating on you. You were emotionally checking out. You were building your exit strategy while I was building a future. Those are different, but the damage is the same. She sank back onto the couch, sobbing into her hands. 3 years of conditioning told me to comfort her. The new clarity I'd found told me to wait for her to leave. I chose clarity. I think your 5 minutes are up, I said quietly. Tyler. Emma, go home. This isn't fixable. You don't want to fix it, not really. You want to fix the consequences of your actions without actually changing the actions. She looked up at me with mascara-streaked cheeks. What if I want to change? What if I actually want to do better? Then do better for the next person, not for me. The wedding invite came 3 months later, forwarded by Marcus with a screenshot. Bro, you seeing this? Emma and Derek apparently had moved faster than anyone expected. The ceremony was scheduled for April, 6 months after our breakup, at the same botanical gardens where I was supposed to have proposed. I stared at the invitation. Heavy cream cardstock, elegant script, a photo of them laughing in golden hour lighting, and felt nothing. No anger, no jealousy, just a distant curiosity about how someone moves from, I love you, please take me back, to wedding invitations in 12 weeks. Marcus called 5 minutes after sending the screenshot. Please tell me you're not actually going to this circus. Wasn't planning on it. Good, because I'm pretty sure this is a record for world's fastest rebound engagement. Did she even know this guy's middle name before December? I pulled up Derek's Instagram, curiosity getting the better of me. The evidence was all there in careful chronological order. Gym selfies from September with Emma coincidentally in frame, November photos of them at restaurants Emma and I had gone to, December announcement posts about finally finding someone who values you. The timeline was so compressed it was almost impressive. She's not your problem anymore, Marcus reminded me. You dodged this. Remember that. But something about the invitation bothered me, a nagging thread I couldn't place. I called the botanical gardens that afternoon using a professional voice and a fake name. Hi, I'm calling about the Richardson-Walsh wedding in April. I need to verify some vendor details. Oh, I'm sorry, sir, but that event was canceled, the receptionist said. The deposit was forfeited about a week ago. Is there something else I can help you with? Canceled. I hung up and checked Emma's social media, which I'd long since unfollowed but could still access through private browser windows. The wedding posts were still there, dated from 2 weeks ago. Comments gushed about love and second chances and finding your person. But nothing new had been posted in 7 days. I should have left it alone, should have accepted the mystery and moved on with my life. But something felt wrong, like watching someone walk toward a cliff edge in slow motion. I texted Marcus. Can you ask around about Emma? Something's off. He called back 20 minutes later. Okay, so I called Jenny from your office because her cousin is friends with Tiffany. Apparently, Emma's parents cut her off financially because they're pissed about Derek. They thought you were responsible and stable, and now she's marrying some gym trainer she's known for 4 months. What about the wedding? Here's the thing. Derek's been paying for everything because Emma's broke. She quit her freelance work to focus on wedding planning, and her half of the rent is 2 months late. Derek's starting to realize what he signed up for. The pieces fell into place with sickening clarity. Emma hadn't moved on from our relationship. She'd replicated it with someone else, finding another stability provider to replace the one she'd lost. Except Derek wasn't me. Derek had his own debt and his own financial realities that didn't include funding someone else's Instagram lifestyle. 3 days later, Emma texted me from a new number. I know you probably hate me, but I need help. Can we talk? I didn't respond for 6 hours, spending that time at the climbing gym, pushing myself up routes that had seemed impossible 2 months ago. When I finally replied, it was simple. What kind of help? Her response came immediately. Can I call you? Text is fine. The paragraphs came in rapid succession, each more desperate than the last. The wedding was off. Derek had called it quits when he realized she expected him to pay for everything. Her parents were still angry about how things ended with me. She was facing eviction from our old apartment because she couldn't make rent alone. She'd applied for jobs, but nothing was coming through fast enough. Could I possibly loan her money? Just temporarily, until she got back on her feet. She'd pay me back with interest. I read the messages twice, feeling a strange mixture of vindication and sadness. This was what Sarah in Kyoto had warned about. Hoovering. Emma wasn't reaching out because she missed me or regretted her choices. She was reaching out because I was the backup plan, the reliable one who'd always been there to fix her problems. I can't help you, I typed back. But I can suggest some resources. I sent links to local emergency assistance programs, food banks, and a roommate finding service. Professional, distant, final. Her response came in all caps. Are you serious right now? After 3 years, you can't even loan me money? You called me deadweight, Emma. Deadweight doesn't carry anything else. I blocked the number before she could respond. The next week at work, Sarah called me into her office with news. They were expanding the marketing department and wanted to create a senior analyst position. Was I interested? The salary increase was substantial, enough to start looking at buying a condo instead of renting. I accepted before she finished describing the benefits package. That weekend, Claire from the bar invited me to a NASA open house. We walked through spacecraft mock-ups while she explained ion propulsion systems with enthusiasm that made complicated physics sound like poetry. Afterward, we got dinner at a Vietnamese restaurant where she insisted on splitting the check before I could offer to pay. I'm not looking for anything serious right now, she said over spring rolls, but I like talking to you. So if you're cool with seeing where this goes without pressure, I'm in. That sounds perfect, I said and meant it. March brought unexpected closure. Marcus forwarded another message, this time from Tiffany. I owe you an apology. I didn't know the whole story about what happened with Emma. She told us you freaked out over nothing, but I saw the original post before she deleted it. That was really shitty of her. And Derek just posted that she was cheating on him with her ex the whole time they were engaged, so apparently this is a pattern. Anyway, you seem like you're doing better without her. Good for you. I didn't respond to Tiffany either, but I appreciated the validation. Not because I needed her approval, but because it confirmed what I'd suspected. Emma's version of events had painted me as the villain in her story while she played the victim. The truth was finally catching up to her narrative. In April, on what would have been Emma's wedding day, I posted a photo of myself at the climbing gym, halfway up a route I'd been working on for weeks. Caption: Sometimes the best views come after the hardest climbs. No mention of Emma, no reference to past relationships, just a statement of fact. Claire commented with a rock climbing emoji. Marcus added, "Proud of you, bro." My mom, who'd been quietly supportive through everything, simply wrote, "Keep climbing, sweetheart." I turned off my phone and finished the route, reaching the top with shaking arms and a clear mind. From up there, I could see the whole gym spread out below. People attempting their own challenges, spotters encouraging climbers, beginners learning the basics while experts made difficult moves look effortless. Everyone was on their own journey at their own pace. Emma was figuring out hers the hard way. I was figuring out mine by actually moving forward instead of circling back to relationships that had already ended. That night, Mrs. Nguyen knocked on my door with a plate of banh mi and a proposition. Her nephew was moving out of the 2-bedroom next door. Would I be interested in upgrading? Same rent as my current place because she valued good tenants over market rates. I accepted immediately, already imagining a dedicated office space for the new job and a proper dining area for the dinner parties I wanted to start hosting. Life was building itself into something recognizable again, but better this time. Built on choices I made for myself rather than compromises I made for someone else's comfort. 1 year after Emma's Instagram post, I stood in my 2-bedroom apartment arranging furniture delivered that afternoon. The space had transformed from empty possibility into lived-in comfort. Bookshelves finally holding my complete collection, a desk for work-from-home days, art I'd chosen myself on walls I'd painted. Claire sprawled on the couch Marcus had helped me upgrade last month, scrolling through photos from our weekend trip to Portland. "This one's going on Instagram," she announced, showing me a shot of us at Powell's bookstore, both holding armfuls of novels. "You look actually happy here." "I am actually happy," I said, and it wasn't performative. The contentment was real, built from smaller moments that accumulated into genuine peace. Morning coffee without checking someone else's mood first, evenings spent reading or climbing or doing nothing without needing permission, weekends structured around activities I chose instead of obligations I couldn't refuse. My phone buzzed with a message from Marcus. "Bro, Emma drama update if you're interested." I wasn't particularly interested, but curiosity made me respond. "What now?" "She's engaged again, some finance guy she met 2 months ago. Tiffany says the wedding's scheduled for October, and Emma's already posting about 3rd times the charm, because apparently Derek wasn't her first broken engagement. Who knew? 3rd time. I sat with that information for a moment, processing not jealousy but something closer to anthropological fascination. Emma was still chasing the same pattern. Find stability, treat it as guaranteed, test boundaries until everything collapsed, then find new stability before processing what went wrong. She'd probably repeat this cycle until someone either called her bluff or she ran out of men willing to audition for the role of security blanket. Neither scenario was my problem anymore. "You okay?" Claire asked, noticing my distraction. "Yeah, just Marcus being Marcus." I showed her the message. We'd reached the relationship stage where Emma wasn't a forbidden topic, just a historical fact neither of us dwelled on. 3rd engagement? Claire's eyebrows rose. "That's a lot. It's a pattern. Glad you're not part of that pattern anymore." She returned to scrolling photos. "Speaking of patterns, your mom wants to know if we're coming to Thanksgiving." I told her probably yes, but wanted to check with you first. The casual domesticity of the statement, Claire coordinating with my mother, making holiday plans, using "we" naturally, should have triggered Emma-era panic about commitment and expectations. Instead, it felt comfortable. Claire wasn't asking me to perform a role or meet unspoken standards. She was asking if I wanted to eat turkey with our families. "Thanksgiving sounds good," I said. "Should we drive or fly?" Work had become unexpectedly fulfilling after the promotion. The senior analyst role utilized skills I'd been developing quietly for years, and Sarah had become a genuine mentor instead of just a manager. She told me last week that they were considering me for the director position opening next quarter. 2 years ago, I would have downplayed the possibility to avoid Emma's resentment about my success. Now I let myself be proud. The climbing gym became my church of sorts, the place where progress was measurable and failure meant trying again rather than giving up. I'd started volunteering there Tuesday evenings, teaching basics to beginners who reminded me of myself a year ago. Uncertain, unconditioned, but willing to try. Last week, a woman thanked me for patience while she learned to belay. "My ex used to get frustrated when I didn't understand things fast enough," she said quietly. "It's nice to learn from someone who doesn't make me feel stupid." I recognized her situation immediately, the erosion of confidence disguised as supportive relationship, the partner who claimed to want you to grow while subtly sabotaging your attempts. "You're not stupid," I told her. "You're learning. Those are different things, and anyone who can't tell the difference isn't worth your time." She came back the following week with better technique and visible relief at being in a space where struggle was expected and supported rather than criticized. Watching her progress felt like watching my own journey in reverse. Someone at the beginning of breaking free while I stood firmly on the other side. Marcus met me for beers in June, his usual grin replaced by something more contemplative. "So I've been thinking about what happened with Emma," he started. "Why? That was over a year ago." "I know, but Jenny mentioned something interesting. Remember how Emma always had freelance projects that never quite paid? Apparently her parents had been subsidizing her for years. When they cut her off after you left, that's when everything fell apart with Derek. She literally didn't know how to function without someone else's money." The revelation should have angered me, learning I'd been bankrolling someone who had family money all along. Instead, I felt mostly pity. Emma at 28 still hadn't learned basic financial independence. Still needed someone else to provide stability she could take for granted, while criticizing them for not being exciting enough. She's someone else's lesson to learn now, I said. Not mine. Fair. Speaking of lessons, I'm taking that solo trip we talked about. 3 weeks in South America starting September. That's awesome, man. You're going to love it. I'm taking your advice. The stuff you told me about Tokyo, about being invisible in the best way. I need that. Clear my head after the divorce is finalized. We clinked beers to new beginnings and old friendships that survived the destruction of relationships that hadn't. Marcus had been there during the worst of it, had helped me move out and move forward, had never once suggested I give Emma another chance when doing so would have been easier. That loyalty meant more than he probably knew. In August, Mrs. Nguyen knocked on my door with news that the studio apartment downstairs was opening up. My niece needs affordable housing while she finishes nursing school. I wanted to offer it to her, but market rent would be difficult on her budget. Would you be willing to write a character reference? You've been excellent tenant, and if you vouch for her, I will offer reduced rent. I wrote the reference that afternoon, detailing Mrs. Nguyen's fairness as a landlord and the building's quiet community. Her niece moved in 2 weeks later, and Mrs. Nguyen brought us both bunchung to celebrate, treating her tenant relationships like extended family. It was the kind of casual generosity Emma had never understood, the way small kindnesses compound into genuine community. Claire and I traveled to Japan in September for her work conference. Walking through Shibuya with her felt different than my solo journey. Shared experience versus solitary healing, companionship versus independence. Both had value, but I appreciated how this trip built on, rather than escaped from my current life. We ate ramen at the same counter seat restaurant I'd discovered alone. The elderly owner recognized something in my face when I walked in, nodding with what might have been approval before serving us both steaming bowls. Claire noticed my silence while eating and didn't interrupt it, understanding some moments required internal processing. "This is where you figured it out, isn't it?" she asked afterward as we walked through the neon-lit streets. "This is where you decided to stay gone." "Part of it, yeah. Tokyo was where I remembered I could be someone outside of that relationship." "I'm glad you came back different." She took my hand, natural and easy. The you that existed before sounds exhausting to be. She wasn't wrong. The Tyler who'd lived with Emma had been performing constant emotional labor, managing her moods, anticipating her needs, minimizing his own requirements to avoid being called selfish. That version of myself felt like someone I'd known briefly rather than inhabited for 3 years. October brought Emma's third engagement announcement, posted with professional photography and caption about finally finding forever. I saw it because Marcus sent a screenshot with laughing emojis, not because I was checking her profiles anymore. The finance guy looked stable and successful in that generic way that suggested he hadn't yet realized what he was signing up for. "Should we take bets on how long this one lasts?" Marcus texted. "Nah, I'm good. She's someone else's adventure now." The truth was, I didn't wish Emma harm. I didn't wish her happiness either. I wished her irrelevance, which I'd mostly achieved except for Marcus's occasional updates that I could have lived without, but appreciated for their entertainment value. Claire organized a dinner party at my apartment in November. Our apartment, really, since she'd been staying over 4 nights a week and had commandeered half my closet. Her NASA colleagues mixed with my work friends and Marcus, everyone comfortable and laughing over the Thai food we'd ordered too much of. Sarah cornered me in the kitchen while refilling wine glasses. "You seem genuinely happy, Tyler. It's good to see after last year." "Last year was necessary," I said. "Hard, but necessary." "The best growth usually is." She smiled. "For what it's worth, that director position is yours if you want it. HR just needs to finish the paperwork, but you've already demonstrated you can handle the responsibility." I accepted without the hesitation that would have plagued me in the Emma years, the worry about her resentment toward my success, the guilt about having stability she couldn't create for herself, the fear of outgrowing someone who'd made it clear growth was threatening. The holiday season approached without the complicated navigation of whose family got Thanksgiving versus Christmas, who was hosting, which friends' events were mandatory versus optional. Claire and I simply made choices based on what we actually wanted to do. Thanksgiving with my family in Michigan, Christmas with hers in Colorado, New Year's Eve hosting our own party instead of attending someone else's. Mrs. Nguyen invited us both to her traditional Tet celebration in January, treating us like honorary family members. Her extended relatives asked friendly questions about our relationship without the invasive quality Emma's friends had always employed. Genuine interest versus data gathering for gossip purposes. "You two are good together," Mrs. Nguyen told me, while Claire helped her niece set up decorative plants. "You have balance, equal partnership. This is how it should be. Equal partnership." The phrase resonated because it described something I'd never quite achieved with Emma, the sense that both people contributed comparably and benefited fairly. With Claire, financial discussions happened openly without resentment. Weekend plans got made collaboratively without one person's preferences dominating. Career successes for either of us prompted celebration rather than competition. The 2-year anniversary of Emma's irreplaceable post arrived without fanfare. I only remembered because Facebook's Memories feature surfaced my airport photo with the caption I'd written in justified anger that had transformed into boundary-setting clarity. 2 years of rebuilding life on my own terms, rather than someone else's expectations. Claire noticed me looking at the old post. "Do you ever regret how it ended?" "I regret not ending it sooner," I said honestly. But the timing worked out how it needed to. If she hadn't posted that, I probably would have proposed. We'd probably be married right now, and I'd still be the backup plan. Her loss. Claire kissed my temple, casual and affectionate. "I'm selfishly glad you were available when we met, but I'm sorry you had to go through that to get there." "I'm not sorry anymore. I'm just grateful I recognized the exit when I saw it." Marcus called in March with news that Emma's third engagement had imploded spectacularly. Apparently, the finance guy had discovered her pattern when an ex-boyfriend contacted him with warnings, and he'd ended things publicly via a Facebook post detailing financial manipulation and emotional infidelity. The comments section had become a support group of Emma's previous almost husbands comparing notes. "Should I feel bad that I'm enjoying this?" Marcus asked. "Probably, but I won't judge you. Schadenfreude is natural when someone who hurt you faces consequences." "Are you feeling schadenfreude?" I considered the question honestly. More like vindication. She told everyone I was the problem. Too sensitive, too controlling, too boring. Now there's a pattern multiple people can verify. That's not schadenfreude, that's just reality catching up. The conversation ended with Marcus planning his second solo trip, this time to Southeast Asia. He'd caught the travel bug the same way I had, discovering that being alone wasn't the same as being lonely, and sometimes the best company was your own uncompromised presence. April brought the director promotion officially, along with a salary that made me genuinely comfortable for the first time in my adult life. No more calculating whether I could afford new work clothes or if entertainment was in the budget. No more splitting checks and somehow always paying more. Just straightforward financial stability that I'd built myself and could use as I chose. I took Claire to the Botanical Gardens on a Saturday afternoon. Not the same location Emma had tried to book for her wedding, but close enough that the symbolism wasn't lost on me. We walked through spring flowers neither of us could name, taking photos and enjoying unseasonably warm weather. "This is nice," Claire said, leaning against a fence overlooking a koi pond. "Peaceful, no pressure. That's kind of my whole philosophy now," I admitted. "Life is better without pressure disguised as love." She turned to face me fully. "I want you to know I see you, Tyler. Not what you can provide or how you make me look or what role you can fill. Just you. And I like what I see." It was the most romantic thing anyone had ever said to me, precisely because it wasn't trying to be romantic. It was just honest acknowledgement that I existed as a complete person rather than supporting character in someone else's narrative. "I see you too," I said, "and I like what I see." We stayed at the gardens until closing, watching the sunset through cherry blossom trees that would be gone in a week, but were perfect right now in this moment. Impermanent and beautiful, and enough. That evening, scrolling through social media while Claire cooked dinner in my kitchen, I noticed Emma had deleted her Instagram account entirely. No farewell post, no explanation, just gone. Whether she was finally working on herself or simply finding a new platform for the same patterns, I didn't know and didn't need to. Some stories don't need endings, just distance. I set down my phone and joined Claire in the kitchen, where she was attempting to make pad thai from scratch and making a spectacular mess in the process. We laughed about the disaster unfolding on the stovetop, ordered pizza instead, and ate it sitting on my balcony while watching the city lights flicker to life. 2 years ago, I'd canceled a proposal and bought a ticket to Tokyo in 48 hours. It had felt impulsive and reckless and possibly self-destructive. Looking back now, it was the first truly self-preserving decision I'd made in years. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself is recognize when someone sees you as replaceable and prove them right by replacing them first. Not with another person, but with a version of yourself that doesn't need external validation to know their worth. Emma had been right about one thing. Some men are irreplaceable. She just didn't realize she was describing the man I became after leaving rather than the one I'd been while staying. Marcus texted late that night. "Booked the Thailand trip, 3 weeks starting June. You inspired this, you know. Proud of you, man. You're going to love it." Already planning to get lost in Bangkok and find myself in Chiang Mai. He wrote back, followed by laughing emojis. Thanks for showing me it's possible. I sent back a photo of Claire asleep on my couch, using my shoulder as a pillow. The two-bedroom apartment visible in the background with its comfortable furniture and lived-in authenticity. Caption: This is what's possible. Safe travels, brother. The story could have ended with bitterness. Me alone and angry, Emma vindicated in her belief that I was inadequate. Instead, it ended with both of us getting exactly what we deserved. Her continuing to chase stability she'd never appreciate, me finally building it for myself with someone who valued partnership over provision. Sometimes the greatest revenge is just living well while the person who underestimated you keeps proving you made the right choice by leaving. No dramatic confrontations needed, no public call-outs required. Just quiet compounding evidence that you were never the problem. You were just with the wrong person who couldn't see your value because they were too busy calculating it. I was irreplaceable. Emma just didn't realize it until I'd already replaced her entire impact on my life with something infinitely better. Peace, partnership, and the kind of happiness that doesn't require social media validation, because it's real enough to stand on its own. 2 years after that Instagram post, I finally understood what it meant to be irreplaceable. Not convincing someone else of your worth, but knowing it yourself well enough to walk away from anyone who questions it.